Hello everyone and welcome to this update video for Deluxe Poly 0.4 and 0.39. I wasn't able to create a video from the previous version, and 0.4 is a bug fix release, so think of this as one single thing. One of the most important new features for this version is we now have animation playback with the usual play button. So we click down here on the play button and you can see that it automatically goes through the frames. We can also use the frame, play animation menu option or press enter on the keyboard to turn that on and off. You can control the frame timing, which is displayed in the bottom of the status bar. The frame timing is from the frame menu in the timing menu option, or you can press F6 and you can enter in milliseconds, which is 1,000th of a second, how long each frame will appear before the next one. So change that to say 100. And you can't select multiple frames at the moment, so you do have to do this by hand. I'll be working on that in future, but for now we can set it all to 100, which is the default, and you can see in the status bar that they're all saying 100, and if I hit go now, it's playing back a lot faster. The grid got an update. We can now go to the view menu and grid setup and adjust the width and height and also the starting offset from the top left. Click visible and set that to 20 by 10. I'm pressing the tab key to cycle through the fields here and just enter some numbers. 5 by 5. I'll click OK on that and the grid appears. You can see each cell is 20 by 10. And if I zoom in, you can see that it starts at 5, 5. So you should be able to have more control there. And if you enable snapping and to grid, you can snap to this different size as you need it. Speaking of snapping, I've done a bit of work to optimize the performance of the snapping. That will be an ongoing process to improve performance across the whole software, but that's a start. I've noticed that it was updating too often, and so I'm not doing that as much now. You can now rename layers. If you select a layer, go to layer menu, rename, or press F2. You can type in a new name. So new name, click OK, and now the layer has a different name. And if you hold down the mouse on the layers timeline button on the toolbox, you can see that the name is also there. So that lets you quickly swap layers. If you've got the panel hidden, you can still see it. And hopefully you can use that to create a more descriptive name for your layers. The other major new feature in this update is we now have some effects. If you go to the new FX menu, we've got 6 choices here. And so I will just work through them. If you click drift, it takes the vertices of the shapes on the current layer and drifts them slowly downwards. You might have seen that it moved one tick there. If I do the FX menu again, you can see that the again menu option is enabled on the G key. And if I click that, you see that it repeats the last effect. If I keep tapping G, you can see the process of what's happening. It's drifting down and dissolving. And you can use that in conjunction with the animation features to record a frame, hit G key again, record another frame, and then you'll create an animation. If I just revert back, I'll go through the others. So we've got grid quantize, that takes every point on the layer and snaps it to the grid. As you can see here, we've got the 20 by 10 grid still. So it's created this kind of nice abstract triangular blocky view, which you might like. It's an effect. You don't have to use it. Undo that. And next one is melt, and that's similar to drift, but it's more, I guess it creates more of a liquidy, melty effect. So I'll revert that. FX, and then we've got wiggle and wiggle more, and that's the same thing, but one is stronger than the other. Wiggle more was the initial implementation of it, and then I've dialed it back. So I'll show you wiggle. Just does that. Press it again. Wiggle, wiggle. I do new. Oh, no, not new. I'll revert that back and then do wiggle more. You see that it kind of flies apart. And the last one is wobble, and that creates a small rotation on each polygon. So if I do that, you can see, it's very noticeable in the background. You can see it's turning, but it's sort of if you do it a lot, it almost sort of destructs the object, and that can be quite interesting. If you take it to extreme, it kind of almost reassembles as well, but not quite, and you end up with this peculiar mess. Like I say, it's an effect. You might not want to use it on everything, but it's there if you do. And like I say, the rest of the changes, if you can look in the README, they're various bug fixes, and I hope that helps the software become easy to use. Thank you very much for watching, and big thank you to all my patrons shown here on the screen. If you'd like to support the project and get access to an early build of the software as it is today, you can look at the description and there's a link to my Patreon in there. Thanks for watching. See you next time.